Jesus Christ is the light. He's the light. He's the light. Healed by his stripes. Paid the price for you and me. The victory is won. Brighter than the sun, and his love is medicine. Jesus Christ is the light. Hey, he's the light.
Welcome to SCD Interviews Season 2 finale. Once again, I am your host, Leona Howard, and I'm so excited for you all to hear from our special guest for our Season 2 finale. I am triggered. I was about to take some notes myself during the interview. Once again, this is SCD Interviews, where Christian creatives communicate, and I personally wanted to thank everybody who has supported Shea Culture Dance by liking a video, sharing a post, donating, taking a class, coming to one of our showcases. Thank you all so much for your support. We could not have reached or finished Season 2 without your support. If you would like to continue to support Shea Culture Dance, you can do so by donating to our Cash App, $ Shea Culture Dance, or our PayPal, SheaCultureDance@gmail.com. I hope that you guys have been blessed by this season. I hope that this is bringing you closer to God. This is giving you some sort of confirmation or guidance. I just really pray that you guys receive what you need during this time from at least one of these interviews. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let's get into it. Hey Shake fam, welcome to Season 2, Episode 4 of SCD Interviews. Yes, y'all, this is the finale of Season 2, and this episode is about to be fire because Miss Joni Turner is about to drop some gems. But hopefully. In the meantime, you said hopefully? Everybody's been dropping gems though this season. So it's been amazing. Once again, every person who's been a part of our Season 2 cast is from the Freedom Church Jax. So if you are looking for a church home, make sure you join us in person or online every Sunday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. But let's get into it.
Yes,
how are you?
Good. I'm well. Thank you for asking.
Yes, of course. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming.
Yeah,
Once
pleasure.
again, we have another creative who is an extremely talented and hard-working creative. So guys, you are about to get a whole new perspective. So this is Miss Joni Turner. All right. Let me give y'all the list of what she can do. Okay, this is not just a creative in one field. She is a creative at heart. She does a lot and she does it well. Okay, here we go. She can bake. She does hair. But she makes bow ties, interior design. She can cook. She can sing. She can play the alto sax. She's the head of staff at Freedom Church Jax, and she's the assistant branch manager at South State Bank. Y'all. If you aren't winded after that, it's a lot.
I don't think about it. So.
I know. Everybody this season was like, man, you made me tired with that list. Yes, y'all do a lot. Y'all do a lot, and they're all Black, okay? They're all people of faith, and they're all extremely humble, okay? And so these perspectives are so needed while you guys are on your journey. So, Miss Joni Turner. Here we go. Are you ready?
I think so.
Okay, I think you're ready.
Hopefully.
We already had a little intro conversation, and Miss Ma'am came in the back. She came in the back.
We should have been rolling. Where's the camera?
The interview started 15 minutes ago, y'all. It started 15 minutes ago. She was like, and she just came in answering the question. She was like, I was like, well, I'm writing her questions down. I was like, well, she's answering them now.
I'm a thinker, so I think I come in and I seem super deep all the time because I'm always thinking about something.
No, me too. Yeah. I'm definitely an overthinker. It's a blessing and a curse. It makes you a great planner, though.
Yeah.
It makes you a great planner, but if you overthink the simple things too.
Yes.
Sometimes God be telling me girl, it's not that hard, sis.
Right.
It's right there. Yeah,
Simplicity.
I definitely understand that. I feel you on that. Yeah. But yeah, so you guys are now going to hear the answers, but I was extremely impressed to her answers to these questions. So let's get into it.
Let's go.
So what people in your family encouraged your creative side the most? So the reason why I want to ask that question is because you do so many things creatively and you do them well and you do them boldly. And she does them on a big scale. She's not just good at those things I do it in the house. No, sis is doing it, okay? So I just wanted to see where that comes from your family.
I think one of the main persons is my mother. She's a creative as well.
Oh, wow.
I was in a household with both parents being creatives. Okay. For the earlier years, but she's been super supportive with any endeavor. She actually encouraged me to go out, try this, do that, whatever. And when I bring her new stuff, Mommy, I think I want to, okay, well, let's see what it's gonna be, you know? And I think my family, my immediate family, my sister, brother, they're all like creative too. So it wasn't really hard for me to start exploring different avenues.
Okay.
I think that was something that was nurtured in my home, and it was kind of commonplace there. So yeah.
Wow, I like that you said that the culture in your home really created that, because a lot of people do have those skills and things like that, but they don't use them. They don't use them. And most traditional families that I've, am in or have heard of, sometimes there's some hesitation with the creative industry because people are like, well, how are you going to make money? It's an unknown type of thing.
Yeah, and I never felt the pressure of getting a normal job.
Wow.
That was, you know how like, you got to be a doctor, a teacher, or whatever.
Yeah.
But because my mom was a musician, it was like, you could be a musician full time, or you could be a producer, or all of these other different avenues where she was like, you could do that. So I never really felt that pressure.
Nice.
I did feel kind of a pressure of going into the music field for quite some time, but I kind of broke free. I'm a rebel at heart. I'm gonna be honest.
She broke free from the music industry.
So I still use that gift for God whenever the opportunity presents itself. But
Nice. Nice. Well, shout out to moms, because she's an amazing creative guy.
Ivana.
Amazing. And that's so rare. And for any of you creatives out there who might not have that type of support, remember that like your boldness and your support can come from God as well. And he can confirm and affirm you while you're on your journey trying to figure out like what industry, as far as in the creative industries, you should step into.
Or it could be a person. Like sometimes he's so gracious and loving towards us. He will put the right people across our path so that, they'll spark a question that happens in your head. And I'm like, you know what? I never thought about that. Maybe I should,
Yes. So and this is what Pastor just said, the people that you're connected to matters.
Yeah,
it definitely
absolutely.
matters. It definitely matters. So what advice would you tell your 20-year-old self now?
I told you I was debating over this question.
Many of our creatives are in their 20s or deciding to transition. And so that's why I really wanted to ask you this question.
I would say, if I were to speak to my 20-year-old self, I would say don't cower. And because at that time, I had a lot of gifts that I was doing, but I think I allowed people that I was connected to kind of like, and not family members, because they were so super supportive, but I think people in like peer circles, I was kind of excelling in areas, and it was easy for me to excel, but they were like, I was doing that. I was, just that type of thing. And so I think I cowered in certain areas to make room for other people. And so I think if I would have stopped doing that, I probably would be in a different space than I am now. But I did learn through it, so that's cool. But I think that would be my main thing. Finding a better way of lifting other people up. And we kind of spoke about that off camera, but I think my intent was to lift someone up, but it shouldn't be at the expense of me, myself. And so I think learning that earlier would have helped me in my journey.
And I think one thing as creatives that we have to peep is jealousy. We have to be discerning to understand when jealousy pops up, so we can acknowledge that, okay, this person isn't saying that as a critique, this is jealousy. Or this person isn't doing this to me because I've done something wrong, this is jealousy. And jealousy is a really hard thing to point out because you don't want to assume that. Most people want to assume the best, et cetera, but it can literally get in the way of you really stepping up and doing what you're meant to do. So I'm really glad that you learned through that process.
Well, yeah, I think hindsight is like people just aren't sure of what they add to the table.
Yes.
And I've always kind of been sure of myself. And it kind of rubs people the wrong way, but I'm like, I just know I just know who I am,
Yes.
and I'm so super confident in that. And so many people are not, and they're just trying to figure. It's not just I don't know what path to take. It's like I don't know what I add.
Yes.
And we all add something different and special. And so like I could sit at the table and know what Leona adds is what Leona adds, and God gave it specifically to you. So I'm not threatened or moved by what you add, but we could add something greater when we come to the table together. And I think I've always had that mindset before. I think it was before time, you know.
Oh,
You know
okay,
what I'm
gotcha.
saying? And so
Gotcha.
I think it's helped. That portion has helped me to lead other creatives as well. It's just like, come on, we can all do this. We all add something different.
Yes. Wow. And I think it's interesting how sometimes a revelation that you receive early on in life, or something that you've been affirmed in early on in life that isn't commonplace, can sometimes be a hindrance too. And but it's also a testament of what God can trust you with. You know what I'm saying? In telling you who you are and walking in that in a world of people who may not know what exactly that is. So I think that's super, super special and a really hard lesson to learn at a young age. So I think that also adds to that certainty, because you went through that process of, okay, I know this about myself, but I'm trying to juggle it in the midst of all of these people. And most people don't face those challenges until after school. So I think that's really cool that you had that early assignment, you know, by God. I think that's awesome. That's really awesome. So many creatives work a full-time job, and you do as well. And they might not like, okay, let's be honest. So let me pull it back a little bit. The reason why I really wanted to have you here is to give a realistic perception of what being a creative is. A lot of people want to be creatives and they're like, I want to do it full time, but they forget that transition might not be immediately into that. You might have to work a 9 to 5 for a couple of years. You might have to work a couple jobs, you know what I'm saying, for a year to accelerate that process. Whatever that may be, most people aren't just placed into the creative industry and are able to do it full time. If you have, awesome. But the average creative does not have that. So, and they usually don't like what they do, especially because they know that the creative side is what they should be doing full time. So do you have
a war happening on the inside?
It's a war. It's
I think
I'm not gonna say nothing about what I'm going through, but look in my eyes. It's a war, okay? Personal war. I'm going through it. Okay, so anyway, do you have any tips on how to excel in a career or at a job that you might not be passionate about at all?
If I'm speaking to creatives,
yes,
we excel at whatever we put our hands at. So it's not more so of excelling in that area. It's more so thriving in your mind in that area. That's because it's a place where you feel like you are so far above it, and you may be, but you're assigned to where you are in that moment. And it's kind of like the David in the field David versus in the palace David. And it's like you have to be great where you are. And I think the one thing that I learned that I still have to constantly remind myself is that where I am assigned currently, I can still use my creative gifting there. And I really look at it as ministry. And so when I'm walking into the bank and I lead other people, how can my interaction with them push them to greater? And it's not just being great at being a teller or being great at being an FSR. It's like, how can I push them to greater holistically? And I think that's one of my gifts that I use in every avenue, or whatever it is that I'm doing, is pushing people forward and upward. And so I started to look at my position that way, so that when I had days like, and I've had days like that, especially with being short-staffed because of COVID. But walking in and saying, okay, how can I be light today? How can one conversation with the customer or whatever push them further or closer to their, whatever it is that God wants to do with them right then? Wow. It's like, how can I be used here? And I think when you position it in that way, then you're not so concerned about, man, I need to be out making my own business. It's like, you are you wherever you take you. Yes. So being consistent wherever you are.
You know, okay, let me just name a few gems that I got just from what she just said. So she said that as creatives, we're great at everything we put our hands to.
Yeah.
And there's a certain amount of affirmation that comes with that statement of just recognizing that even if you feel like that's not where you're supposed to be, you can still feel great at it. Another thing that you pointed out is the importance of your perspective. And I think that's extremely important. I was going into work this past Monday and literally was listening. Something was just like, it was God. God was just like, you need to listen to the message on Sunday. And so I was like, okay, I had planned to do it anyway, but not like first thing in the morning, I guess. And so I was like, okay, I feel like I should do this. Why not? And that message literally changed the perspective of my week. It helped me work harder, and it also affirmed me in understanding that I'm capable of doing this job. But I think sometimes when depression kicks in, or sometimes when anxiety kicks in, you're just like, I don't even care about this job. Like, why am I here? What do I want to do? And it's a very negative space. And so when you have
debilitating.
It's debilitating.
Yeah.
And I've been stuck there. Like, it's debilitating. It affects how you work. It affects your reviews. It affects so many things. And so just understanding that your perspective as a creative is everything, not just in your industry, but in the jobs that you're working as well. And I think that's really, that was a really big game changer for me. When I listened to that message, understanding that I'm capable of the job, and I simply just don't want to do it, but I'm more than capable. So even just coming in with a perspective to work of like, I'm capable of this, changed how I worked this week. It was crazy.
I would say the one thing is like, how could I use my creative gifts with this mundane task?
Yes.
Like,
I color code everything. People don't like it. My team is like, Leona's been in the file. It's pink, it's yellow, but it makes sense to me, And I even say at my job all the time, because I'm an accountant full time. So I say at my job all the time, I'm like, I learn how I learn.
Super black and white.
It's super black and white, and I come in wearing this, you know what I'm saying? Changing my hair every 2 weeks, because that's just who I am. And I know that I can still be professional with that. But at the end of the day, like, sometimes you also have to let other people know that you learn differently as a creative. You may not learn with a lecture.
Also, Leona, it's like, that's such a gift to those people that are working that mundane or like that black and white, because they see it from one perspective. But as a creative, you're able to look at it from three or four different angles all at once, and you add that perspective to that space, and they're like, what? I would have never thought of that. Oh my God, how great. And it was only because you stepped into the room. So don't be afraid to step into these spaces where it's like, I don't even know if I should be here. You're just the right person to be there.
Just the right person, guys. Just the right person. So if you are at a job that you may not like, your perspective is everything. And everything is training too. I've learned over the years that God will put you some places just to prepare you for where he's really taking you. So don't be careful how you speak about that job too, because that might be something that you need to get from that job in order to do what you want to do full time as well. That was really good. So you are the definition of using all of your gifts, like every single one, and some that I just didn't even see coming. I didn't know you could sing. I was like, wait a minute, wait. But sometimes creatives might ignore or shy away from the gifts for the sake of appearing humble or for the sake of not stepping on toes. So have you ever done this before?
Yes. Yes, and we kind of talked about it earlier, but I kind of want to take a little turn, because I think one of the things that I struggle with as a creative is knowing when to use what gift. And because so many things came natural, it's like, oh yeah, let me try this. Oh, I'm good at that. Let me market that. Oh, let me try this. And you have kind of like, I don't know, Dory syndrome, like just putting your efforts everywhere. And it's like, man, so I'm really, one of the things I'll constantly pray is like, God, I just want to die empty. I want whatever you placed in me, I want to explore whatever it is so that I use those gifts. I don't want anything to lie dormant in me. And so, which you can get into that of, okay, I'm gonna do this. I'm doing hair right now. Now I'm gonna start my clothing line. Now I'm gonna do bacon and, and so then now you're like, what is it? Jack of all trades, master of none. But I like to say that I'm a jack of all trades, and my master is God, because whatever season it is that I'm in, he will orchestrate. If I'm in tune with him, he'll he'll show me what gifts I need to use at the right time. And so now I look for opportunities to use certain gifts. So I'm not doing them all simultaneously right now.
Yes.
But if an opportunity presents itself, then I'll do that. And whatever it is, like in my vocation at work or at the church when I'm in COS,
Yes.
like whatever gift it is that I need in order to accomplish the task, then I know I have that, so I'll pull it and I'll use it for his glory.
Wow.
So
You don't even understand. I mean, that, y'all, this is so on time. This is so on time for the season that so many people are in because they're
creatives get frustrated.
Yes, creatives get frustrated.
What do I do?
What do I do when? And then sometimes you can like slow your journey or your process down because you don't know where to focus, and you're and you feel good because you're like, oh, I can do this, and it feels good. But you look back a year of doing that and you really haven't made any progress in any of those things, and that can be frustrating too. It can also lead to doubting God. So really asking God is to focus what you should be focusing on, helping you focus your energy on what gifts you should be using during that season. So I love what you said, jack of all trades and God is my master. I think that's super cool because a lot of people are multi-talented and they get distracted with those talents. I think it's really easy. So yeah, that helped a lot. I think that helped a lot of people who are trying to figure out, like, I'm good at all of this. Well, what do I do full time? You know what I'm saying? And really just going to God and being like, well, what do you want me to do? You know, it's his will. It's not our will. So I think that's just, it all goes into that. It all goes into that. So what are some systems that you have in place to not get overwhelmed? Because it's you do a lot.
Yeah, I try to use my calendar. That's something that I started jotting things down. So I have like a in Google Docs, it's fluid, so you can keep adding to it. So like when I meet with a certain person or when I've had a conversation, I like to jot down notes from that, and I go back to that and kind of where I left off, I'll go back and say, okay, what did I accomplish? What did I not? Let me bring that to the front.
Yes,
and I also use a journal at work in that same way. Like when I'm dealing with clients or dealing with customers, I write down, oh, I spoke to so-and-so and this was what was said, so that when things get chaotic, I'll have a reference point. And I think that's something that I picked up from someone that I work with, and she's very helpful in that manner. But it's helped me a lot because I think with creatives, you do have a lot going on at all times, and you have to find a way to like organize that chaos that's happening in your head. And if you don't have an assistant walking through, like you need to be able to reference, okay, I spoke to such and such. Oh, I told them I was going to do this. So how do I fit that in? Also building in rest. That's something that I'm a kind of workaholic. I'm gonna be honest.
I feel guilty when I rest,
especially with ministry work. I don't say no, and because I enjoy it. I generally enjoy it. I would do it with my eyes closed or whatever. So building in rest for myself and building in family time, those things is so important to do because it recharges you in order to do the work again. And so, building in Sabbath.
And don't feel guilty about building it in either. I think in a culture that tells you work, don't stop, grind till you get it. I mean, hashtag Motivation Monday. There's a lot of culture like that. Like just simply on social media, you can feel bad if you're not up at 6 a.m. working out. You can feel bad if you're not staying up until 3 a.m. Well, your body needs rest.
Also, there's this myth that you have to like grind, no sleep. Sleeping is for bears.
Talk to me. Just talk to me.
I mean, there, especially. Okay,
it's
but
bad.
No, that's not true.
I know,
because you can make things work for you and delegation, and so that you don't have to overwork. And using networking and building relationships, so that you don't work as hard. And I think that's part of being a creative too.
Yes. And even if you are in a season where you do kind of have to do everything by yourself, know that you're working to add more people. You're not working to continue to do it by yourself forever. Like your business is going to expand. Your whatever you're putting your hands to is going to expand, and people are going to want to help you because you're helping yourself. So don't deny the help when it comes because you're so used to doing it by yourself as well. I think that's kind of where I'm at after a year of doing Shea Culture Dance. I now have to be open to like, okay, people want to help, you know, like this is a good thing. This isn't like, oh, well, I feel bad because I'm not doing it anymore. So I think that's a good point that you made. I think that's a really good point that you made. I'm going to pick up these cards. But okay, so staying organized is definitely a key, guys. Staying organized is a key. It's important to your peace of mind. It's not about being type A. It's really important to your peace of mind. Yeah. But have you ever told God that his assignment for you in any season of your life is too much? If so, how did you get past that feeling?
Yeah, all the time.
I
think it's, to be honest with you, I think it's intentional on his part. Yeah. Because there's a song, he won't ever put more on you than you can bear, but I think that's a lie, because if you can bear it, then you can do it without him. And so I do think that he turns up the heat in your life, especially creatives. It's always like super intense, but so that you can lean and depend on him. So I think one of the things is, I do think the assignment is great, but he's greater. And so as long as I'm looking to him and building in time and commune with him on a day-to-day basis, then I know, yes, this is too hard for me, but with his strength, I can make it through that day. And some days I am simply just making it through the day, and that's fine. I made it with him. There's some days like, I don't want to get up out the bed, okay? I'm tired. I'm tired, okay? But he gives you grace. He gives you mercy. He gives you strength. He replenishes it every morning. You just have to veil yourself to him in that way.
And if you're in a space where you are feeling the expectation that God has for you increase, but your support level is the same, like remembering that like he is your support system. Yeah. So even if you feel like, okay, God, you're asking me to do more, but like, you know, I'm away from family, I'm far away from family, or I just moved for this creative industry, or, you know, I just experienced a breakup or a death. Like, you know, there's so many things where you might feel unsupported or feeling like you don't have the people or the things that you need in order to recharge. But just remembering that like rest and like talking to God is so important in those moments when you might not have people. And that's a big common, especially through the pandemic, we all experienced like singleness, and not just like relationally, but you experienced singleness in everything. You were at home by yourself, you was just doing this by yourself, like it was just by yourself or just you and your family. So in those seasons when you might feel like that, remembering to really just lean on God, like we're really remembering that.
You know, it just dropped in my spirit. Okay, so like when you're by yourself, and I was having this conversation with someone else, I don't remember, but like there's so much of, if you go on Instagram, Facebook, there's so much content that is created, and it's just a replication of something that's already done. Yes. Like, it's like everyone is doing the same story. Everything is the same. It's just a different face. And I think when you spend those moments of solitude, you're able to like really get in tune with what you are and who you are in Christ, or just like as a creative in general. And so then you start talking like yourself, because you ever been like really close with someone, you start picking up their mannerisms and like, and I think those moments where you're by yourself, don't forsake those, because that's where you can recharge and be who you're designed to be. And like those are some of the greatest creative thoughts come when you don't have any of those things in the way. So I like to unplug a lot. Like people crack on me because my phone's never charged. I never know where it is. I answer very late, but I intentionally disconnect. Like it's like a subconscious thing. I intentionally do that so that I never lose what makes me unique.
Yes. Oh, so, wow. That's good. That's good. Yeah. So a lot of people might see that as loneliness. A lot of people might see that as, oh, like I don't have what I need and everybody else has this, you know, we start comparing. But just remembering like the wilderness is where God shows you who you are, you know, like, or separating you from your normal is a pattern that God did in the Bible a lot. And for the people that he was about to use, he usually always separated them. They were alone for a period of time. So just remembering that if you are in that season, you're more than likely being prepped for something greater.
Absolutely.
And it's not loneliness. Like, just remember, perspective. If you got anything from this interview, is that perspective is everything as a creative, especially a creative with a busy schedule. Your perspective on your creative industry, your job, your family, the season that you're in can make a huge difference in how you are receiving God's instruction, how you're looking at God's instruction as well. It's not about being positive. It's really about having a kingdom perspective.
Absolutely.
So yeah, because positive energy, keep it positive, keep positive. Sometimes too much positivity is toxic.
Yeah.
You can be overly positive and you're actually going through something that you need to acknowledge. So just remembering that kingdom perspective of what you're doing in your assignment is important to the longevity of you pursuing that. It's not just for a couple of years. This is a lifetime thing. So remembering that. I hope that this interview helped you guys out. But is there any other tips or?
No, I don't think so.
No? She's like, I said what I needed to say before the camera turned on, and when it was on, honey, I gave you 2 interviews. Honey, you got extra content. No, I'm kidding. Let me stop. But no, this was so great. I'm really glad that we were able to end it off on a realistic note. Miss Joni Turner, once again, do you have a website or Instagram that you want people to follow or check out?
You can follow me on IG. I post regularly on there.
Okay.
Oxford Sand Hills is my screen name. So
Nice. Okay, so Oxford Sand Hills, I will put it below here so you guys can go ahead and follow her and maybe get some more gems just through her content. Once again, guys, this has been SCD Interviews, where Christian creatives communicate, and I will see you all on the next season 3. So, we'll see y'all later. Bye.